It's time to dive back into fantasy basketball. Alex Barutha here with Ken, the K-Train Kreitz. We are diving into our top 12 players for 8 category NBA fantasy leagues, so we're not counting turnovers for this one. Ken and I are going to be taking these players in a draft format, and he's got the number 1 pick. So who are you taking, Ken?
Well, and always we'll be bidding a pizza on this, right, Alex?
Yes, we will.
Number 1, probably a surprise to no one. I'm taking Victor Wembanyama. No one else comes close to four blocks a game and is productive in all 7 other categories.
Yeah, I mean, Wembanyama, you are good in terms of blocks for a long time in your draft. If you draft at least one other center, you're probably set. And obviously, he has a ton of upside on offense as well as the team's number 1 option. So in this draft format, I have the next 2 picks. So we're doing it in a snake format, but then we're going to alternate. So I am taking Nikola Jokic, who has been essentially the best fantasy player over the past half decade. I think it's possible that he sees a few less minutes, 1 to 2 maybe, with the team being a little deeper than they were in years past. But ultimately, Jokic, I think, is the best player in the NBA, bar none, and gives you such a high floor for every statistical category, maybe outside of blocks, that it's hard to go wrong. With the following pick, I'm taking SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder, I really debated between SGA and Luka here, but decided to go with Gilgeous-Alexander. He's got the defensive upside, great field goal percentage, free throw percentage is fantastic, and has been a little more durable than Luka. So I'm gonna play a little safe here and go with SGA.
I think that's a no-brainer. Fans, please use promo code YouTube15 for 15% off your RotoWire subscription. Our subs come with personalized tools, the whole My League package for your specific leagues, email alerts, and more. Go to rotowire.com/subscribe and save 15% with code YouTube15. Alex, I think your 2 and 3 picks were a no-brainer, but I'm going off the rails. I'm getting a little crazy here. And with number 4, I'm going to rock the boat and take Cade Cunningham. RotoWire rankings have Cade at number 6, but I don't trust this whole Luka's in the best shape of his life narrative. Phooey. I think the Mavs actually may have been right. They may have been onto something. He's soft, and his percentages are a concern. Cade is only 24 years old with upside, strong percentages, and more dimes than Luka. I'm going crazy. I'm taking Cade.
I really like Cade this year. No question, first round pick. Usually goes later than this, I would say, but honestly, maybe he's tapped out his usage upside, but that means that he's in a position to be more efficient. I think he'll get easier looks this year than ever before. The team is going to be a little bit better. Asar Thompson can step up. Jaden Ivey will be back, stuff like that. So I think Cade is a strong pick. As much as you hate this, Ken, apparently, I am taking Luka Doncic. Partially for the upside. I'm with you. How much do you really believe the slim Luka thing? But there's not many higher usage, higher upside players in the NBA right now. And maybe he does take a small step back in usage compared to his time in Dallas because he is next to LeBron James and Austin Reeves is there. But ultimately, this is a talent bet for me, taking Luka at 5.
Yeah. No, I think you have to do that. I'm a little worried about his game count, about some out of shape hamstring / what was the injury they came up with last year so he could try to get in shape? What was that? There was like a fake
playback calf. I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, with number 6, I am taking Anthony Edwards. Ant-Man's scoring has improved every season he's been in the association, with steady rebounds and assists. Plus, he hit a career-high 4.1 triples per game last year. Like Cade, Ant-Man is only 24. There is still room for upside here. I'm taking Edwards at number 6.
The Timberwolves did not get any better this offseason. They lost bodies.
Correct. Right.
So, and there are people who are going to say, hey, Anthony Edwards, he has to really step his game up to take himself and be a true first-round value. You also get a lot of durability with him. He barely ever misses games. And I do think Edwards is someone I would bet on to take another leap forward. So a quality pick there. I am going with Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks with pick number 7. We know the story with Giannis in category leagues. You got to punt free throws. You're probably punting threes, not necessarily that those are hard to find later in the draft. But if you do that, if you punt free throws, Giannis, it automatically vaults into one of the best fantasy players in the NBA. And similar to Anthony Edwards, the Bucks got worse. This team is just not very good. Their second best option is either Kevin Porter Jr. or Kyle Kuzma. I think this sets up for Giannis to potentially have the best season of his career if he can stay healthy and the Bucks are pushing for a playoff spot.
Agreed. And yes, I love your note about, hey, you got to tank free throw percentage. Someone you don't have to tank free throw percentage is my number 8 pick, Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. You can't win in fantasy without strong point guard play. Young dominated the association with an NBA best 11.6 assists per game last year, and he's an elite, high-volume free throw shooter. I'm taking Trae Young at number 8.
Love the Trae pick. I would have taken him if you didn't. Someone I love drafting in fantasy, has actually gotten his steals production up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think with a better team around him, he's still going to control the offense, but he could be more efficient. Really just a very high floor pick is Trae Young. I'm going with James Harden of the LA Clippers. There's a lot going on with the LA Clippers right now. But I think that if that goes badly, it can only be positive for Harden. So I'm gonna choose to spin it that way. But even if
is that Trae Young I see planting trees here outside my window?
Even if Kawhi plays and it's fine and he plays 65 games, Harden is still that team's. He drives the offense, right? Yeah. One of the best sources of 20 and 10 games in the entire NBA. And I am a little worried about his age. He is getting up there. Maybe there is a little bit of a risk of a downturn or injuries. But when you're at this point in the draft, late first round, to some extent, you do have to be thinking about, could this guy potentially be a top 5 or a top 3 guy in fantasy if everything pans out correctly? And I do think Harden is still that guy at the end of the day. Well,
likewise, I'm also going high risk. But later in the first round, you can do that. My number 10 pick, I'm going with AD, Anthony Davis. Now with the Mavericks, of course, look, this is a risk. But if he can stay healthy, he's a constant 25 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks a game at center. And, he shot a few more threes per game with Dallas last year than they did with the Lakers. Wonderful gravy if AD can hit threes and hopefully stay healthy.
I think AD is one of the biggest boom or bust players this season, period. We know about the injury issues, which is why he's not going number 3 or number 4. But he's clearly, by far, the number 1 option on this team, especially when Kyrie Irving is recovering from his ACL. Mm-hmm. And I think D'Angelo Russell is going to be fine for them in the meantime. Cooper Flagg, we project him to be really good and project him to be potentially the number 2 option, number 3 option on the team. But it really is Anthony Davis's team. And he's in a position that he wasn't in LA to just run the offense entirely.
Yeah. And, it's a lot easier in a 2-person draft when you already have Wemby at center to take AD. But if you're in a regular 12-teamer and that's your first pick, a little more nerve-wracking. But, AD at number 10. Who you got at 11, Alex?
Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. And I usually tend to stay away from drafting players on bad teams. And I do not believe the Phoenix Suns will be good. However, they don't have their own draft pick. They have no incentive to be bad down the stretch, and I think they will try to win games. And Booker, again, another guy who's the clear number 1 option on his team, proved last season, and has been proving, honestly, for the past 5 years and most of his career, that he can lead a team in scoring and in assists. And I think, Jalen Green's going to get his shots, but they don't have a lot of secondary playmaking on that team. I think there is potential that Booker averages both career highs in points and assists and really has the best season of his career.
Booker's done very well on prior bad Suns teams. and his game's blossomed, so I expect him to do fantastic. And it's a fantastic point, Alex. They don't have their draft pick. No reason to tank. They should play Booker. Okay, at the end of the first round with the number 12 pick, I'm taking, well, the choice really for me came down to Tyrese Maxey or LeBron James. And frankly, I have more faith in Maxey playing in more games this season. I'll take the Philly point guard and want to point out that Maxey had almost 2 steals a game last year. That is extremely useful.
I'm someone who buys Maxey as an NBA star. He's still very young, has time to develop, and is the most reliable player on that team now. Is the number 1 option, basically the only guy you can trust. And so I think he can take his game up another level. And that will do it for our top 12 for 8 category fantasy basketball leagues. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to use promo code YouTube15 for 15% off a RotoWire subscription. We will see you next time.
That's YouTube15 for 15% off your RotoWire subscription.